Good evening, everyone. I hope you're doing good. I'm Veronique, and I'm back with the new videos on Scope International YouTube channel. So today I'm going to speak about the following CICAM funding researches. So it's the following videos of previously what has been talked regarding the Bsc Transport and Logistics that I studied in 2015. So the funding data is actually the data that demonstrate the funding of the research. Data the funding through the project answer the questions objective which was shared in the chapter or literature review or the dissertation. The chapter is processed into three sections. The first section demonstrates the CICAM brand and give a view of CICAM project, a brand, a collaborate with Solid Cotton, the Visco brand and how they advertise the new materials to the customer. The second demonstrates that the Cameroonian government is a key or profit of CICAM and by the finance of them in the raw material to be able and to answer the questions that CICAM has is significant in the GDP of Cameroon. The third chapter discusses the current supply chain of African brand of CICAM and share the challenges of the network and the solutions. The CICAM brand strategy is actually demonstrate that in limitation the company specify in the material of the cloth and the tool 100% CICAM cotton transform mondially and is only manufacturing the country, only local supplier of the company downstream the cotton. Portfolio CICAM Cameroon manufacture provide textile of cotton and textile and produce short spinning, weaving, bleaching, dye, printing, finishing and selling 10% of cotton fabric, fancy collection. And this is an example of the materials themselves. This is actually demonstrate an example of materials of African brand that I collect. I buy it and then I actually designing the designing the dresses. So I remember this was really a picture that from international fashion show at the University of Huddersfield, because I was running the Cameroon Society, was the president of Cameroon Society. So I ran the society and I literally made it the fashion show and demonstrate clothing, and many other countries actually being part of it. And that one I put the picture of those things to my project. So in this case, the soda cotton is a locally cotton to CICAM Cameroon and is a leading textile manufacturer in Cameroon, and it represents over 90% of the sector, and it distributes its product through its subsidiary netco, which has any outlook in the littoral, central east and west and north of Cameroon under the brand textile and textile. So in Cameroon, the government of Cameroon is a key profit for CICAM. It's reported that the company was very challenged due to controversy on the market of competitions of the second-hand clothing. Fortunately, the government CICAM by the measures as tax exceptions. In addition, later on, the turnover rose of 13%, and the profit was recorded for the first time in order. In order to help the Cameroon government, the Chinese lost 15% in a textile activity brand. Fortunately, the turnover increased first by 10% and followed by 11% in 2010. So, in 4 years, CICAM has increased 65% on its turnover due to investments on the weaving factory of about 15 million investment. In addition, in about 10 years, CICAM project rise earlier cotton consumption of 3,000 tons and eventually rise of 12,000 tons, a process that with great job. Also, regarding the data that I collect from CICAM that they send me the document is actually made me creating the supply chains. As you can see, this is the supply chains. This is the supply chain of CICAM basically. So it started from CICAM Douala, then the factory, and then go to the distribution network where is actually the cotton, and then the dispatchment to the different store in the littoral, the central east, west, and direct sell that CICAM run, and then it's dispatched to the different retailer or different store in Africa. And this is an example of how I produced the data analysis. So it's very graphic, and it says this one is the number of workforce in productions by manufacturing in the years 2000 to 14, and it's demonstrated the different manufacturer that the CICAM run in Cameroon, such as manufacturing Gara, Douala, and second manufacturing Douala, and the total productions. And also here is the data which is demonstrate the distribution workforce on NECO of years 2014, and is demonstrate that is the boutique and administration for 1 years, and the workforce in production, distribution, the structure of the years, the total production, distribution, and culture, monthly capital, FP par littoral Douala is actually demonstrate the how each town, each region's location actually made the part capital, such as in Nobel, Madagascar, Bemanda, Shop Centre Douala, Boutique CICAM, and Nimbe. In the monthly South as well. So it's actually the KPI of the selling of those location store. And the monthly, the South-Est, Nord-Est, which is in Écoutès, Mbové, BM, Asie, Bendoué, Nongondoué, Gawa, Shopsand, Mawa, Kozori. The capital of the, and finally the capital total, so I can see here on this graph. And it said that part of the littoral has a higher capital during the months of 2012, billion CFA real in 2009. So I actually demonstrate regarding the data that CICAM provided me. That's actually made me writing the analysis. So now that I provide these information regarding those one, I wanted to show you one of the international works in Africa. This is what we read. Okay, and this is basically focused on the international, on the 8th Mars in Cameroon. So this is a big event. So the fabric has the very significant importance in our country, in our continent, in our country. So it's, in conclusion, the key for the founding research is that the key element of CICAM manufacture is to only have one of transformations of the cotton in Cameroon. In addition, the strategic process of CICAM is to respond to the demand on the Cameroonian market. Therefore, there are very various productions for only Cameroon, because the Chinese will enter to the Chinese market, impacting the country, duplicate the material to response to the demand. CICAM Cameroon reverse the help from the government, and that have an positive impact because the government finance in the raw materials, and that increase the GDP of the country. In addition, CICAM process by having strong strategy of the workforce in a different manufacturer to be able to produce enough to respond to the demand. CICAM custom-based code doesn't affect the production of the product of CICAM. However, the works has a good impact in the manufacturing. So this was the analysis of only CICAM. And then if you now I'm talking about the analysis of based on the date on the survey questions, is this demonstrate that mainly most of the based on the survey question response, most of the students say that this is an example how the survey question has been established, like the measurement is also based on graph, and it demonstrates that there are some of the school, like for example the student who might be undertake the survey questions in the University of Huddersfield, law, business management, sport, international business, pharmacy, chemical. Actually, most of them know, there are about 10 of them who knows African brand, and if I don't know African brand. And this is a summary of the data. That's amazing, and I summarized those informations. And also I asked if there are no traditional clothing. They demonstrate that most of the students who know African tradition clothing is sport, following with international business student. What they think that is that the African brand attract attentions probably for more sales, and they're looking good, colorful looking, and because most of them say that it's because it's very colorful and it's a very nice color, and it stand out, like it's a very stand out according to different type of clothing as well. So in the graph it also say how many don't know a bit about African culture in general. In total, there's actually The two of them, there's not a lot of answer, but the two of them said, and then the graduation I actually don't know in the sport as well. So and then also because I had made for several questions for, I said for student this time, I said for organization, for retailers. Most of the retailers say that they know African brand, they know African brand. um, so it's basically very colorful green. They like the color green and everything, and they don't know. So the retail in Huddersfield actually know African brand, and they think that this is can be used through the market, and they're very commercial to it, and it stand out. The print is stand out, is a different color, and it's also the style, the blazer, the top, blue, yellow, green. So I asked the question, if you would like to buy a traditional African clothes, what type of what wax would you like design? They say Accra style, jeans, blazer, top, etc. Blue, yellow, and green. Why this color bright and vibrant? And the other one they say, if any of two ID a traditional African clothes in the market, please feel free. There are limited shops that sell this type of clothes, but it would be good to have more. So this is it. This is right. There's not a lot of shop proposing African clothing. What we see is the normal clothing we see in the market in Europe. So that's also a very cool point. What the other was saying, this you know answer this one, and also didn't answer this one as well. So this one was the main point, but most of the color comes very colorful one. So this is basically the project of CICAM and African continent. As you can see here, it has been provided and produced, and I believe that because there's been talking to different information, so I believe this is useful. It's still useful. It's 2015, we are in 2021, and I'm talking about this. And either when I'm talking about this and I talk about the current situation of African continent, I feel like they still is improving, but it's still alive. It's really still alive. This is what we live in still. So our clothes are the textile in Africa is the main economic profit for our continent. And regarding our traditions and regarding the market research based on different textile area, it is true. As the market in Europe has been said, the very cool color, very standard, can be very useful to the market. There's not enough into the market. But in Africa, it's a significant and important because this is our clothes. So I would like to say thank you for your listening. If you have any questions regarding this dissertation, regarding anything about the methodology, the founding research, the literature review, the analysis, the discussions, because I made the discussions, and the discussions, I can read also the discussions of CICAM so that we can actually have a conclusion of it, because I think this is a main important, also very part to underline based on what I've been said early. And then let me say it, because I think it's a very important part, like to say it. Okay, discussions. This is a discussion of CICAM. Okay, so I'm going to read discussion of current situation of CICAM within the European markets and the literature review argument. This chapter demonstrates the analysis of funding through the research. The analysis of funding is focused on the research from the literature review which relate the funding research. The chapter 6 has different sections. The first section discusses the African textile brand and the CICAM up to protect the brand. The second part discusses how much the African government is a key to finance for economic of scale in the continent. The third part discussed of why African continent decide to their operation locally instead of overseas. In addition, are also why they import fabric from visco group. The fourth part demonstrates that workforce can be the key on the productions to CICAM to respond to the demand. The third part discussed the key of choose the right mode of transportation. The final discussed the survey question for 9 retailers of Huddersfield students from Huddersfield University, people in France, Germany, and Switzerland, and retailer. Previously discussed African brand within the continent propose same product. In addition, most of the countries in Africa use different style or texture or material, but what is come together? It is the fact that most African fabric brands material pattern as a story and unique. The marketing strategy of having same product can be advantage and disadvantage to African continents. Fortunately, most of the African wear the African material because most of them say the material are very comfortable and fit everywhere, wedding, social event, work, and other party. All these clothes are very accurate to the way most of the women in Africa who wear those materials say that the local print give recognition and also the beauty of the African continent. They ever commend they prefer to wear the local dress instead of the jeans and uniform, are mostly uncomfortable for them. According to the reference, the disadvantage can be because most African people today prefer to purchase the second hand because the second hand is very cheap and fashionable. And they point out the Cameroon appreciate to purchase clothing to the cheap and cost market. In addition, many countries in East Africa complain about the Chinese clothes, which is most putting them out of the business. The problem is discussed that most of the amateur design is only touch the entering market in the local country, such as Cameroon design marketing is focused on the Cameroon market. In addition, from the current situation of African continent, therefore, CICAM decided to be focused on Cameroon market research by first securing and protect the Cameroon design pattern by employing new designer to create new idea. Therefore, from the case study and the literature review, most of the local manufacturing African never successful brand complain to be victim of the controversy from the Chinese. In addition, because the Chinese government became the subsidiary of export tax in Africa, and this is the same challenge as CICAM, which has 2,000 employees, which has been lost their job. The solution made by most of them was advertising the project by Instagram, movie, Facebook, and attract the people. Following that, it also found the following information. Following the time during the years of fabric. So the people will ask more about it. In addition to increase the demand, CICAM decide to go to a different local market and use the pick up and sell the different materials. According to Visco Group, which is located in Netherlands, as a market in West and South Africa, and add also the challenge to combat the controversy. In addition to be able to control the brand, Visco communicate the customer from Africa and Europe about the controversy they face from the Chinese market. For instance, CICAM, the customer of Visco at 30% of controversy of fabric of Chinese market for Visco, which reduces the sell on Cameroon market. In addition, the project they mark Visco brand decide to plant store in the foreign West Central Africa, such as Ghana, Nigeria, Congo, and region. The African continent lack of raw materials started with the Chinese market, which trend in the raw material. In addition, most of the Chinese market had the material adequate to respond to the demand. In addition, the government has significant role African textile brand GDP of the continent because African countries depend on the finance from the taxes such as Cameroon Sodecon. CICAM say the Ministry of Cameroon of Trade report they have spent 97 billion VCF in 2011, which has been important to Cameroon. The government from CICAM and just to provide 14 million Cameroon in GDP and 4% of GDP of country. Therefore, some country in Africa doesn't receive enough resources from the government, such as a Nigeria report that the Nigeria government didn't have a lot of resources. In addition, they have a lot of manufacture of textile in Nigeria, which is closed because no due to answer the demand that some of the manufacturers didn't declare that they have manufactured textile relocant. They are abandoned the manufacture CICAM Cotton Transform Bank Mondial. Fortunately, the Cameroon government are very concerned about the CICAM manufacture, such as they give CICAM taxi 5.5 billion of million for both their activity by purchasing raw material and be able to produce the demand of the populations. Therefore, CICAM has been able to raise the profit gain of 10% in 2011 and in 2010, or the Chinese manufacturer will lose 15% of the market Cameroon. In addition, in South Africa, many say that For Africa to develop the textile market, they have to come together and talk about the current situation first African textile brand within the continent. Say one of the most important solutions for them is to train the people, such as from university, will be able to experience in the industry where establish a theory. Brunei therefore called the women are significant about our cotton manufacture to be able to produce the wax. In Netherlands, because the rise of the price, the quota to the gold was critics of the debt in Cameroon because it didn't pay the tax. Fortunately, CICAM didn't was effect to make because CICAM will produce for them the quota. In addition, Visco brand in Netherlands signed a trade with the industry of cotton in local market and then some. According to Visco brand point that it's good opportunity for them to be able to produce because that will increase the local source of cotton and make the Africa to be active and then the next smallholder farmer will show how the cotton is sold on the African market through the productions. In addition, the Nigerian government is optimistic about this new project because Olusegun Aganda report that the signing a memorandum of understanding between the Dutch textile and design company to mark the trade of the company Cotton Trade Textiles and Ghana Visco. And the government federal Nigeria will create a platform for significant expansions in Africa large economy. It said that Visco Group activity are expected to generate more than 10,000 jobs in Nigeria in medium term. Fortunately, the manufacturer Aten Textile in Nigeria produces its own plant of cottons and has a significant impact on the projections. According to the reference, say that the problem that the continent having high quota price and all quota, one which was the expensive for some part in Africa. Even Chinese manufacturers will say that it's because those right they could not be in advantage at the time of ship the project. The government, the benefit of Gagowa, signed in the law in the US in 2000 help the textile export to 30 eligible African countries but enjoy tariff and quota, exception such a quota as a good impact on UF imports. By enjoy tariff and quota, exception such a quota as a good impact in export in Kenya, Lesotho, Madagascar, Mauritius, South Africa, which has increased by 66% in 1999 and textile to the US. In my opinion, the whole continent should only use one currency so that the continent can have a profit, therefore to also see the oversee. The discussion on this on the literature review and the research demonstrate that most of the manufacturer African doesn't access in the market in Africa because the reason the challenge they are already in Africa. Most in Africa manufacturers prefer to make the business the local country to just being able to respond to the demands of the country first before anything. From the stuff from the literature review, most of the local manufacturing and entrepreneurship textile manufacture operate was made by hand, produce the ASO okay in the different parts by using their local material. Unfortunately, those markets could not respond to demand because the quantity produced market sell no expense price. So those who produce the ASO okay, so that the retail are only paying they will sell the 3,000 yen. In addition, this can be restricted from those markets to outsourcing the pine to the European market, and also because if the project they provide the material, they will need some trainings and also be able to outsourcing the project in Europe. They will know the European market. Fortunately, some tourists from Europe and manufacture in Europe purchase the high quantity of those materials in those local markets and sell them at a good price in Europe, such as Gambia market. The contract with fashion industry and Dela, in Ghana, the van manufacturer decide to collaborate with the local manufacturer by let them produce the material and use the material to the vans. For vans, the example vans story in literature review. Fortunately, most of the African market also prefer to outsource in visco wax because wax has a very high technology, high quality, and the wholesalers such as Nana Benz are sourcing the fabric for the successful visco and then sold from the potential customer in West Africa, South, such Cameroon, Nigeria, Congo, Ghana, Senegal, and she pushes a high volume of volume. CICAM Cameroon researchers must say that they prefer only to be focused on the demand of the Cameroon market because they touch the entire market. In addition, CICAM has success on other country in Africa, and it should know that the market research following that. It should know the market research and also I just need it. the market researches. So in this chapter, I basically demonstration discuss this, and therefore the manufacturers more in Ghana produce, and also they say the following, which is that. So in conclusion for this, because CICAM Cameroon has make its market only into Cameroon country, and which has been discussed regarding the quota, regarding the market research different littoral. To expand the market, they must see how they can touch the different country, see different materials to actually having a new measures to the market, present a new profit to the market. Obviously, it has been discussed the impact that African continent deal with the current situation, with the situation of taxi brand, which is a very high impact to economic in Africa. Based on the supply chains, it's required organizations, government, and any other institute to have knowledge of the supply chains, the market research, the marketing, the rate, the quota, and the trade international. So, following that, conclusions. In conclusions, this was the conclusions. The recommendations that can be made according to this dissertation is the leader of African. The recommendation is solution CICAM can control first the market with the continent and look the way in the European markets, and also by the time that they control the market in internal understanding the European market, they can actually match the European market and then African market into the continent Cameroon, and make them collaborate with the other country into the continent African, and also see how they can improve in understanding the market, the marketing, the supply chains, understanding the economic of skills, understanding the selection of supplier, understanding the government, the tax, and so on. So, and also choose the right mode of transportations in order to deliver on time the good. This is what the subject is about. And if you have any questions regarding this part, which has been talking about the methodology, the finding researches, and the brief summary of the discussions and the recommendations, feel free to communicate to me, and I will be pleased to answer you. Thank you very much.